The ability to work from home has become more and more mainstream nowadays, and I'm not gonna lie, the recent pandemic of 2020 probably had a lot to do with that. But even without it, there was a gradual push and a gradual change towards more people being able to work from home. What does that look like? Well, your job may actually have features that can be accessed via the computer. And once the pandemic happened, they just moved everything so that you could actually access it fully at home and do your duties at home. And if you're self-employed or if you're a freelancer whose services are heavily connected to the computer, then you're already working from home. And while working from home has a lot of convenient advantages and pros, it will produce its share of cons if you don't take care of them accordingly. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 habits to make sure that those cons don't creep up and take you by surprise, and you can just stay benefiting from the pros of working from home. So let's get into it. Hello everyone, this is Elijah from Financial Anatomy, coming at you with another video to help you take control of your financial destiny. Here on this channel, we talk about personal finance, side hustles, ways to make money online, as well as apps that involve money in any form. And we're going to actually be talking about ways to make money online in an indirect way. And that takes the form of sharing 5 habits that you should develop if you're going to be working from home. And for someone that's been working from home since the end of 2019, I do have some actionable advice that I can give y'all in that regards. Now I say 2019 because that's when I went full-time in it. If we're counting the total amount of time I've actually been working from home for Financial Anatomy, I would say it's about more like 2017, but that's beside the point. Believe it or not, it's a lot of people's dream, so to speak, to just be able to get up, not leave their house, and generate money from their computer. And it is a beautiful thing, I'm not gonna lie, but it does produce a share of problems if you don't know how to address these. According to WeWorkRemotely.com, there are 3 commonly reported issues that remote workers and digital nomads face. Those are loneliness and isolation, anxiety, stress, and pressure to hustle 24/7. Now, these things individually aren't so great, but when you combine them, they have the potential to lead into a very negative emotion called depression. And we don't want you to feel that. Luckily, there are some things you can do to stave off these 3 things and keep them away from your home, so to speak. So let's get into those habits. Habit number 1 is to start using voice messages instead of texting. Now, a lot of people don't actually consider this. If you've been in sales, you're gonna relate to what I'm saying big time. But every time you send a text message, it kind of works on your nerves. Now, that's not such a big deal if you're not doing it all the time, but when you're working from home, chances are you're gonna be using that keyboard a lot, sending emails a lot, typing a lot. And guess what? That works on your nerves too. And anytime you're using that for work in any form, you need to give your nerves a break at any time you can. And that includes when you're just talking to friends or talking to family. So anytime where I'm in a position where I'm not working and I'm conversing with someone, I always try to use my voice. So that takes the form of I'm gonna try and get them on the phone. And if I can't get them on the phone, I just send them a voice message. You can do this by getting the Recorder app, or you can actually send a voice message via Facebook Messenger, which is my new best friend. Because all that typing when it comes to texts really wear on your nerves after a while. And believe it or not, they can actually contribute towards anxiety if you're doing way too much of it. It also has a secondary benefit of getting you to talk. Because when you're working from home, depending on what you're doing, you may not actually be opening your mouth that much. Now, some people have Zoom conferences, phone calls, that kind of thing to maintain and be involved in. For those people, this doesn't apply as much. But let's say you're a video editor or a graphic designer. You don't really have to talk that much, verbally talk. And if you're not verbally talking, this is when you start to lose your natural communication skills when it comes to talking. So this has a secondary benefit of just kind of forcing you to talk and keeping those skills kind of sharp, if that makes any sense. And before you knock this, just give it a try. See how much better you feel throughout the day if you just use voice messages and talk on the phone as opposed to all that texting. And if the people start asking you like, hey, why can't you text? Let them know. Tell them specifically why you're not texting. And they're gonna respect it because they probably just hadn't thought about it before. Habit number 2 that you want to develop is you need to make a plan for the day that involves key things that usually get neglected when it comes to working from home. Those times include when you eat, exercise, and your free time. They need to be built into your calendar because when you work at home, you're going to have a habit of skipping one or two of these unless it's baked into your daily calendar. If you need something to keep track of this, Google Calendar is a great way to do it. But however way you do it, it needs to be integrated. Because if it's not part of the schedule, you'll be working and all of a sudden time has passed and you've lost the ability to do something. You don't want that. And these are things that you need to do to maintain your health. It's pretty obvious that you need to eat to maintain your health. I don't need to go into the details on that. And when it comes to exercise, you're sitting down all day. So if you don't get the exercise in, you're gonna start gaining weight pretty fast. Aside from that, it's not very healthy to just be sitting down all day if we're gonna keep it 100%. You need to get out there and do some form of exercise. And I'm not a personal trainer, but I'd also recommend that if you work from home, you need just a little more cardio in your workout curriculum as opposed to other people, because you are going to be sitting down most of the day. I would take that a step further and say that you should look into doing Kegel exercises. This is footage from another video that's showing how to do a specific Kegel exercise that helps you maintain mobility in your lower body. I'll leave the link to this video in the description below because I think it's very key since you're going to be sitting in a certain position all day. Unless you have a desk where you're standing up, which actually isn't such a bad idea to switch to from time to time. And this should go without saying, but you need to schedule free time for yourself because that goes to your mental health. You need to have some way of just unloading, cooling off, and it needs to be baked into your calendar. What you do with that free time, that's up to you. You might play video games, you might watch Netflix, you might, have a night out on the town, whatever it is. You need to have some where you just cool off, and that needs to be baked into your schedule. The third thing that you need to do is less of a habit and more of something that you need to just set up. But once it's set up, you should be good to go. But you want to separate where you sleep and relax from where you're actually doing your work. Ideally, you want to have these in 2 separate rooms because for one thing, it's actually going to help with your productivity because psychologically, you're entering a work environment. So the thoughts just kind of flow in terms of what you should be doing for work, etc. And when you go back to the other room to relax, your brain just kind of wires down, gets into that relaxation mode. If they're in the same room, they're always going to be at odds with each other. What's going to happen is you're not going to really get the best of either. You're not going to fully be able to relax when it's time to relax. And when it's time to work, you're not going to really fully be in that work mode either because you're not playing into that environmental psychological advantage that you're going to get from having 2 separate rooms. Now you might be saying, Elijah, I don't have another room to switch to. At the very least, try and separate your room into 2 halves. So you got one half where, let's say, your computer, everything you need from work is there. And then the other half, that's where anything you need to relax is. If you do it that way, at the very least, you're still creating somewhat of a psychological disconnect so that when you're over here and facing this direction, hey, this is work. And when you're over here, this is relaxing. The 4th habit you need to maintain or start is to actually maintain a social life. This is something that many people take for granted. But when you had to drive to go to work, you drive, you go to work, you interact with your coworkers, then you have lunch. You converse with your coworkers in a more just relaxed environment. And some people actually leave and go to a restaurant for lunch. Lunch is over, you finish off the rest of the day, and then you drive home. Usually when you drive home, you're gonna stop by the store, you're gonna stop by the gas station. Maybe sometimes you and some of your coworkers may actually wanna have dinner at some restaurant after work and just kind of talk, have fun. Well, all that doesn't have the potential to happen when you're working from home because you're already at home. And going to work and going home, there are so many opportunities that you had to meet new people and to just socialize with your coworkers or with friends or potentially with family. And when you're at home, that's not taking place. So you gotta do something to make up for that. This takes the form of making sure you stay in contact with friends and family, even if it's over the phone. Ideally, you want to try and meet up in person and do something. I understand because of the pandemic that might be kind of, but eventually this stuff is going to be over. Another easy way to do this is to just pick up some hobbies. What is it you like to do? I like riding on a bicycle. I love to do 5K runs. I love to shoot archery. I love to visit art museums. I'm just mentioning a few things that I like just to stimulate some thought. But whatever habits you have, I guarantee if you just Google that habit and just say near me, you're gonna find events and local things that you can get into. So take a look at getting involved in them, and they'll help you maintain a social life of abundance. Because one thing that can happen is if you're working from home, and this usually leads to loneliness and depression, which is something we're trying to avoid. And lastly, the fifth thing you should do if you're going to be working from home, you should get an EMF for all your electronic devices. This is actually a problem with Americans in general, but we use a lot of technology, and a lot of us are oblivious to the fact that this technology we use actually produces a level of radiation. And that radiation is actually linked to certain forms of cancer if you don't deal with it accordingly. There's a few ways you can deal with it, but the easiest way is just to get an EMF, also known as a diode, and attach it to whatever it is that's producing that radiation. I actually have one on my phone, I have one on my computer. Anything that produces that radiation, I just attach that to it, and it actually helps with the electronic device not getting so hot, so it does have that added benefit. But the main reason it's there is to neutralize that radiation. Another way of doing this is to keep the sea salt lamps in your room. That helps with neutralizing the radiation, but a lot of people are just unaware that this is actually a problem. So you want to make sure that you get those. I've left links to them in the description, and this is something that you'll actually start to see the benefits of like right away. If you put it on your phone, you're gonna notice that your ear isn't gonna start hurting the moment you put your phone up to your ear. It's not gonna start hurting unless you have it to your ear for like an hour. But normally it would start hurting probably after like 2 to 5 minutes. Well, that's actually coming from that radiation. What the EMF is doing is neutralizing it as much as it can so that it won't produce adverse health conditions. Like I said, I've left links to them in the description below. If you're not gonna get them, I guess the alternative would be getting a sea salt lamp. And with that being said, we covered 5 habits or things that you should do if you're gonna be working from home to maintain your mental sanity, so to speak, and keep the anxiety, depression, and loneliness away from your doorstep. My question to you is, did you find this video helpful? If you found it helpful, just leave a yes in the comments. That's greatly appreciated. And feel free to elaborate by saying which one you found helpful the most. If not, a simple yes will suffice. If the answer is no, you can leave a comment saying no, and feel free to elaborate on things that you felt could have probably used some improvement. And also feel free to leave future video suggestions that you want to see me make, as this will give me an idea of what you guys want to see, and then I can produce more videos for y'all to help y'all with your financial problems. It's been Elijah with Financial Anatomy. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and hit that bell notification if you found value in this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to get out there and take control of your financial destiny, and give this video a thumbs up if you found value in it. Peace out.